watch the Bolo Punch.
Oh, we're on. Oh, I didn't understand that. This is your Bolo Punch Boxing Hour, brought to you by George Rogie Insurance, www.bolopunchboxinghour.com. Streaming to you live, as always, on Ustream.tv. Timmy, the producer, Patterson, how can our listeners get in touch with us tonight while I pour another beer?
Hit us up on the hotline, 219-743-9743. Yahoo Instant Messenger is up and running, keyword Bolo Punch Boxing Hour. But the best way to reach us live is via the chat room via Ustream.tv.
This segment brought to you by Holy Sheet. Uber Abbey Ale, Holy Sheet. That's a high profile,
It's a microbrew.
alcohol beer right there.
I went to your liquor store this time and got
I'm
this.
trying to sound drunk. Emel's just sounding
I visited your liquor store this time, and they got a lot of microbrews in there.
Which
So
one's that?
that Maine and Colfax, Colfax Liquors.
Oh,
And
well, that's the one on my drive.
Yeah,
they're awesome, man. It's like in the nasty section of Griffith, but it's good times. It's good times.
it's good time.
they got a lot of nice
I just
beers in
love
there.
wandering around in there.
Yes. Saturday night in Tijuana, Mexico, junior middleweight action. Julio Cesar Chavez Jr. Wins a 10-round split decision over Luciano Cuello. Oh, pardon me, a unanimous decision over Luciano Cuello.
A little more tough than what Chavez is used to.
Chavez Jr. moves on up to 39-0-1 with 29 knockouts. Cuello, they were both undefeated coming into this.
Ouch.
Cuello, 23-1, 9 knockouts. I mean, Cuello thought he was just going to come in and outbox him, obviously. I mean, you just look at the record, you know that. Chavez is like, I'm going to knock this fool out. Neither of them did what they thought they were going to be able to do to the other guy. But this was a really big pay-per-view card.
Yeah, there were a lot of good fights on it. This one being the main event, I caught this over on Justin's TV.
Hey, the guy's a hell of a guy.
Yeah, he always invites me over every big pay-per-view. So, yeah, it was a pretty good card altogether. Chavez didn't look as good as he could have. I mean, and a lot of people are trying to compare him to his father, as they do every fight. Obviously, if you thought about his father in this one, you would think he was going to walk through. How do you say this guy's name?
Cuello.
But he obviously Chavez Jr. had a little bit more trouble, but he ended up getting the job done, doing just enough to get the job done here. As you look at the scores, except for on that one card, I don't know how.
Well, I mean, one of the judges had it 96-95. Had Chavez only ahead by one.
Well, one
the other
person
one had it by 2, and one guy had him ahead by 6. Talk to me about the impact of the open scoring that WBC decided to use on this fight.
Yeah, and
how irritating is that?
When you're
shit?
watching this at Justin's house with the chat room right there next to you, obviously as soon as they read off the scores, and it's actually they read the scores off after the round starts. You know, because they read them off after the 4th and the 8th, but they don't read them while you're in the corner. They read them while you're fighting, so the fighter actually doesn't hear it, you know, until the 5th and the 9th from their corner.
Okay.
You know what's going on.
Got so much better.
But it's hard for you to understand what they're even saying. The announcers have to actually tell you what they're saying. So I don't know how clear it is in the venues, because actually I haven't been in a venue where they're using the system. But
Not yet. But it will happen. It'll trickle on over.
But obviously it can affect the fight. This one was close enough where you knew that you didn't have to knock the fighter out. You could still win on points. You know.
Yeah.
So. Obviously, that's what they tried doing. He didn't try for the knockout. I mean, that's what he tried doing from the beginning of the fight anyways. And he was landing some good shots on Chavez. Chavez just battled through it and did what he was supposed to get the win. He's going to obviously step it up a little bit each fight and get a little bit tougher fight. We'll have to see what he gets in the future. He basically had no amateur career. He just stepped right into the mainstream boxing.
Well, junior lightweight action, Humberto Soto, TKO victory in the 4th round over Antonio Davis. He retains his junior lightweight championship of the world. 47-7 with 2 draws and 30 knockouts for Soto. Gotta love Humberto Soto. The fact that we've seen him in Chicago at least once.
And Antonio Davis has been fighting on bigger cards lately as well. So, yeah. I mean, he's no pushover. And then he gets the TKO here in the 4th round and does what he's supposed to.
Yeah. I mean, Antonio Davis doesn't have the hybrid that Soto has. Hasn't been fighting the same level of competition.
Yeah.
But definitely is a sturdy guy.
Well, Soto in recent fights has stepped himself up to the top of that weight class. So.
And moving on down, bantamweight action. Fernando Montiel, knockout in the third round over Diego Silva. Silva came into this fight with only one loss, so to knock him out in the third round for Montiel, very, very big deal. Wins a vacant interim bantamweight title. It's not like you're the promoter. You didn't invent this garbage. I understand that, but
the promoter didn't invent it either.
You know
the promoter did.
Nothing
the
irritates
president.
me more than vacant interim titles.
Well, sand in my crotch, but beyond that, Montiel moving on up to 39-2-1 with 29 knockouts.
Picture I need.
That was nice. Can we rewind that? Can we get that out of there? Fernando Montiel, congratulations, champion, for winning the vacant interim bantamweight title. That's way too many, way too many extras to just bantamweight. And Antonio Diaz, Antonio Diaz,
Holy shit.
at welterweight.
Had a little bit tougher job in this one than what he expected.
Yeah, 10-round unanimous decision over Javier Castro. And from what I can see, one of the judges had it only by 1 round for
Yeah,
for
not
Diaz.
even less than 1 round because it was only 1 point. I mean,
Well, by 1 point, yeah.
so I mean, it's a tough fight for him. He ended up winning it. He does have the 5 losses on his record, but they're all against, outstanding fighters.
And then Saturday in Miami, Oklahoma, super middleweight action. Andre Dirrell, TKO victory in the 6th round over a very good friend of ours, Derrick Findley of Gary, Indiana.
Yeah, this was a special showbox card.
It was, and it
Saturday
was,
night instead of Friday night.
And good God, there were some great fights on this card.
Yes, there
this
were.
was an outstanding weekend for fights. Dirrell still undefeated, 18-0 with 13 knockouts. Findley moves on down to 13-3. But I mean, geez, 2 of Findley's losses are against Andre Dirrell and Andre Ward.
Yeah,
it's
the
not
2
like
Olympians.
It's not like he's losing to slouches.
Yeah.
I mean, this guy is actually losing to.
I actually thought they said that Finley had 100 amateur fights. I thought he had less than that, but I guess they said that he had 100. So
he fought in the amateurs for a good while. I mean, that's how silly my into the sport is, because I actually used to drive Derrick Findley in the Gary Powell bus.
Yeah.
To Indy, to LaPorte, to Lafayette, wherever there were,
they
to
also,
the Silver Gloves.
If you've seen Derrick Finley,
you only have to see him
John
once.
Booz calls him the Incredible Hulk guy from from Indiana.
He's exceptionally muscular.
They said he has not worked out in 8 years.
That's ridiculous.
This guy has to be able to still bench press 400 pounds.
I haven't worked out in 8 years.
You're not Derrick.
Can you tell?
And Derrick Findley is about your height. I think he's 5'2".
Yeah, actually, Derrick and I see eye to eye on a lot of things.
And that was his big problem in this fight.
He was much too short against Andre Dirrell, and Dirrell was using that range.
And-
Findley's problem was he had to get close in order to do something.
And he didn't use this. I mean, he's short, so usually if you're short, you try to be even shorter to get in.
Well, here's my question to both of you. I
Yeah.
mean, would Derrick Findley be more suited at a lower weight class?
He can't make it. He's too much muscle.
That's what I figured.
Too much muscle mass.
And but, I mean, he can make it one weight class lower. He did move up to super middle. He's a natural middleweight. He's done that in both of his big fights here against the Andre Ward and Andre Dirrell, the two big Olympians that are breaking into the sport. But Finley did what he could. He got rocked in the first round. He said he broke his nose. He thought his nose was broke, and then he spent the rest of the fight trying to get his legs back, basically. And then that other card there, the other fight, Hearns and Harry.
Hearns against Harry Joe Yorgi. We have to do this very quickly. Actually, let's come back and we'll talk about.
This was a very good fight.
We'll talk about. It was an outstanding fight against Ronald Hearns against Harry Joe Yorgi. Let's take a break. We'll be right back. This is Bolo Punch Boxing Hour, brought to you by George Rogie Insurance. www.bolopunchboxinghour.com. Streaming to you live as always on Ustream.tv.